Today I'm going to be running the brand new plugin by David Guetta and Nicky Romero, Faster Master Through Its Paces. I've had a few comments of people asking me to cover this, so I thought I'll just make a quick video about it and give you my honest opinion about what I think. I'm not sponsored by Mastering the Mix at all, although I do have an affiliate link below this video if you decide that you do want to get the plugin and you want to help support this channel. Now, for anyone who knows me and anyone who's seen my videos, I usually like to teach every part of the mastering process because I think it's important to understand what each plugin is doing. Not to mention, one of the biggest misconceptions newer producers have as to what their music is lacking is a decent master. Now, sometimes of course this is the case, but usually it's down to the composition, the mixing, the sound selection, which once you've done all of that well, the mastering kind of takes care of itself. However, you still need to get something mastered at the end of the process, and if you want to test it out in DJ sets or share it with DJs, etc. And you want a fast way of doing that. So that's what this plugin is supposed to do. So what I've got set up today is really going to put it through its paces. So let's have a quick look at the plugin, and I'm going to talk through everything we're going to go through today. So the plugin looks like this, and it's pretty simple, the layout, which is kind of nice, especially if you just want to work quickly and get something sounding good. So what I've got set up to give this a test is 3 different tracks by different Accelerator students of ours, and our Accelerator students collectively have achieved over 100 million streams because we teach every step of professional music production. So the 3 tracks I've got today is an ID Working Process by Hey You and Synchronaut. You can check their music out below. I've also got Embers by an artist called Recurve, and then I've got a quick loop that I haven't even produced and mixed properly that I made in last week's video. And this is the special one because I'm actually going to use a reference track to help with this. Now, I've also got a mastered version of each of these tracks as well that I've done manually, so we can actually compare the end result and see if it's any better than my mastering chain. I really kind of hope it's not, because then it makes me look a bit stupid, but hey. So overall, this is what the Faster Master plugin looks like. The idea is you have it analyze the loudest 20 seconds of your song, and then it's going to tweak the EQ, it's going to tweak the levels, the transients, the compression, the stereo image, and then finally limit it to try and get it sounding what it thinks is going to be as good as possible for your style of music. Now, once you've done that, you can actually tweak the separate sections, but if you're not really sure of what you're doing, you can kind of screw things up a bit, and we will look at each of those customizing sections, but first we're going to hear what it does straight off the bat. So let's go to the first track, hit analyze, and play the loudest 20 seconds. Such a nice groove, this. Really, really proud of the guys. It's amazing. So you can see it's listening. There we go, so it's done. So now I can hit let's hear it, and it's going to jump up in volume suddenly because all the mastering is going to be applied. So let's listen to it now. And we can open up this presets thing here, and we can choose different versions if we want. So we can hear it's going to change the style slightly. I actually like that one. And now let's listen to the master that I had done previously. Oh wow, that's a big difference. I've just done a basic mastering chain on this, but now let's listen to it. I actually think that sounds better. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, the mix, as you'll notice, already sounds really good. The sound selection, the composition, just the production in general is already at a really high level, but the mastering chain has enhanced it. Now, something else that you can do, which is pretty cool on this plugin, is you can hit this button here, which is going to bypass it, but it's going to bypass it volume matched, because if you've been producing for any amount of time, you know that when something sounds louder, you generally think it sounds better. That's just a trick our ears play on us. So it's important that we actually volume match it and compare apples to apples. So now let's listen to it. Press this button. So that's what it was like at a similar level. And that's with the EQ, the transients, the compression, all of that stuff applied. So we will look at each of those separate controls, but first let's listen to what it's done with the other tracks. So here we've got something a bit deeper and darker by Recurve. It's Embers. This is the mix on its own. And now let's turn on Faster Master. I've already hit Analyze, so we don't need to listen to her again. So this is where it was before. And now. And this is the master that we had done manually. So some of it's going to come down to taste. Because this is a bit more of a kind of deeper and crispier mix, or master rather. And this one's got a bit more in the claps. So actually I prefer our master in this instance, but there's benefits to both. So we can scroll through some of these presets, see what else happens. That one's not so good. That one's not so good. Yeah, so that one didn't come up with such a great result, but again, a lot of it is down to taste. So now let's listen to the mix that I didn't even finish from last week, and then I'm going to show you what happens when you throw in a reference track to use that to help you match those masters together. So this is the mix on its own, and this was just a big room type track I came up with last week. So it was inspired by Martin Garrix's and third party track, because that was what the tutorial was about. So let's see what Faster Master came up with. This is before. So when you get to the mastering stage, it should be small moves anyway, if you've got the composition, the production and the mixing right. That sounds pretty good. And this is the master I came up with. That's pretty good too. But there's a little bit more clarity in the top end of this one. So this is what I want to show you now. What I wanted to do was test out this feature where you can throw in a reference track. So this is the reference track. And we can see the levels it's hitting. We can see the EQ curve. So minus 6.8 LUFS and true peak of 0 pretty much. Okay, fair enough. So what I've done for this version is I loaded in another Faster Master, then I threw in the reference track, which you can load in here. If you press this button, you can just drag in a reference track, and then I've chosen that as the curve. So now let's hear what it's done to our mix down. And let's have a look at the loudness. And now the reference track. So we're more or less matching on the LUFS and the true peak, which is great. Because our track hasn't been produced as well as Martin Garrix's, it was just done fairly quickly. I would go back into the production and do more, because in my experience, it's always better to try and solve the problems before you even get to the mastering stage. But say this is what we've been given. I want to add a bit more of the stereo width and warmth that the reference track has using the mastering plugin. So let's open it up and have a listen. And I'm going to look at the frequency spread and then the frequency spread of the reference track. Pretty similar now already. The plugin's done a good job. But maybe it can have a tiny bit more high end. And a little bit more punch there at 50 Hertz. And then you've got this cool transient button. Let's get to the break, because this is kind of getting tiring. So now you've got this transient button that can add more punch or reduce the punch. And there's a compress. You can choose to compress it less or more. That's really going to crush it a lot. Better to use these in more subtle ways. So let's go back to that main drop. We pumped up the transients a bit. Now let's warm up the stereo. Wow. I want a bit more warmth in that low end though. Wow, I'm really impressed with that. And look, you can even drive the limiter a little bit. And push it even harder. And you can just put your target LUFS level that you want to hit as well. So if you don't want it to be super loud, just hit it at -12, or sorry, -7. If you want to be a bit louder, hit it at -6. If you want it super loud, you can go up to -5. Then you start getting some distortion, I predict. Oh, really? That's pretty cool. Okay, my conclusions, my honest opinions. So with this little test I've done, I'm very impressed with this. You do get other AI mastering software, which you probably would have heard of, but it's a lot more expensive than this. For the price, this is an absolute steal. And you've got the ability to tweak stuff as well. So whilst I would still recommend that you actually learn every step of the mastering process, regardless of whether you do that, this is going to get you results that sound really good, really fast. I would still definitely also recommend using reference tracks. So even if this comes up with something good, you can compare it to your reference tracks, because it's easy to lose objectivity if you're just listening to the same track over and over again. Now, as I said earlier, none of this means anything if you can't actually produce music that sounds good before it gets mastered. So make sure to check out the Music Production Accelerator, where we've helped our students get over 100 million streams, get signed to the biggest labels in the world, and even tour the world as full-time artists and DJs. So you can check the details out below. In the meantime, I've put together a video here which shares with you some of the biggest mixing advice that I've learned over the past 25 years of producing. So that's going to help you get ready for this mastering stage. So check it out. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to help support the channel and you do like this plugin, then you can use the affiliate link below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you over at that next video.